11 wins in the postseason, a 2.2 ERA, 216 overall in his big league career. A lot of Diamondbacks fans remember his wins back in 2001. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Kurt Schilling joins us up here in the broadcast booth.
Oh, man. Good to see you.
Well, your initial response, I picked his brain already, to what you experienced. You've been cheered a lot, both you guys in your career. What was that like down there?
It was great. It was great for the collective experience. Being around these guys, we haven't seen a lot of us haven't seen each other in a long time. Being able to get back on the field and say thank you to them. They were as much a part of this. Every memory I have of 01 has to do with either the fans in the stands here or in New York, and it was a magical time.
Kurt Schilling joining us in the broadcast booth. And so when you saw all these guys, you gathered together, but then you hear the crowd. I think a lot of people overlook Arizona as a great baseball destination. This is your place. This is where you played high school baseball. You were at Yavapai as well. I would imagine you're proud to come back and also to see what the club's doing this year.
It is. It's nice. It offends people in Boston when they ask me about what one was more special. And I say, well, 01 and 04 were the same for me. I grew up here. This was my home. This is where I came from. So being on that first World Championship team in the history of the state was a big deal.
Well, it doesn't take much to offend Red Sox fans, though, does it?
No.
I mean,
you just say something bad about the Yankees to get back on the good side. But yeah, but it's a different kind of passion. You know, the Red Sox fans are on their 5,000 straight sellout. And out here, out west, it's around winning. And you know, in this day and age, with the economy being what it is, you can't blame people for paying attention to how they spend their discretionary income. It's great to see these guys doing well. This is, you've got a tremendous coaching staff here, and I think that's as much to do with how they're feeling about themselves this late in the year as anything.
When you were moved here in the trade, did you think it would happen so quickly? I mean, you're a wise baseball man. You see the game, as a pitcher, and pitchers, especially the way you see the game now as an analyst. Did you think this club would be this good this fast in 01?
Oh, in 01, absolutely.
Yeah, really?
No, absolutely. After the first week of spring training for me, we knew we were good.
That's what I
real
what I
good.
Really?
And that was every World Series team I was on, every postseason team that I was on, it was the same way. The first week. And it's just a matter of coming out of spring training and in true Bull Durham fashion, we announced our presence with authority that opening series in L.A., and I felt we kind of rode that out the year.
Kurt Schilling joining us up in the broadcast booth. On the personal side, tell us a little bit about 38 Studios. Tell us a little bit about one of your passions. It's Reckoning? Is that
our
coming
first
in
game.
February?
Our first game is being launched February 7th in the United States, February 10th in Europe. And here's some footage from one of our latest trailers.
Whoa.
It's a company where we have about 360 people headquartered in Providence, Rhode Island. And you can check it out at reckoning.com and 38studios.com as well. Todd McFarlane is involved. R.A. Salvatore is a New York Times bestselling author, is involved as well. And it's the thing that's I'm far busier now than I ever was when I played. I look back, I've never had to work a day in my life. I've been doing things I love to do, and this is another one.
I see him work on challenges as a broadcaster. You guys, and you're going through it now, you guys need challenges, you former athletes, don't you?
I think I've said I don't miss anything about being on the field. I honestly don't. I don't miss anything about being on the field, and that's not to disrespect the game.
And I really don't either, Kurt.
I don't. But I want to be better than somebody at something. And for me, it was getting into the video game industry. It's a passion I've had. I want to be the best in the world at it. And that's being able to teach young people what it means to be a part of something bigger than themselves is a very powerful thing for me.
Yeah, I tell people I haven't gone 0 for 4 in 8 years. It's great. It's great. And also, I think, Curtin, you can agree or disagree with me, but you get to a point in your career where you just can't do the things you were able to do as a young player. So it's like, okay, I need to put this game and this game we love so much in the rearview mirror. But fortunately, we've been able to stay around it with a microphone and whatnot, and we watch the guys that can play it at a great level.
Yeah, like I said, I've never had to work a day in my life.
Oh, unfortunately, kicked too far away from McDonald. It was a great effort to get to that ball, and even if that bobble is near him, then he's able to turn around and get a force out, but he ended up kicking it about 70 feet away.
Yeah, I think Chris Young and Gerardo Parra, I think they were playing somewhere in East Mesa. So they weren't able to get that high pop. I mean, that had some hang time, that pop-up. That wasn't really like a Texas leaguer at all. I mean, this thing has a lot of hang time. McDonald can't make the play, then he kicks it. And then just start the merry-go-round.
We heard what he just did there. You're doing more and more of it as well, along with your company, along with being a family man, too. Are you enjoying the radio work? Are you enjoying the analysis? I hear you quite a bit.
I enjoy the group of people I work with. Steve Berthiaume, Carl Ravitch, Larkin, and those guys. Great group of guys. I love to talk about pitching, and they kind of keep it to that, so it makes it easy. That's what I've done my whole life. That's one of the things I feel like I know as well as anybody. So when they ask me a pitching question, I can talk about pitching. I feel like I can talk about it in a way that gives fans some insight into kind of what it was like to do what we did.
It's kind of fun seeing these guys, Kurt, and I'm sure you see them enough since you cover the sport, seeing a couple of younger pitchers get to 200 innings in early September and have Kirk Gibson kind of set the standard that I'm not going to tell you 6 and 3 is a quality start. I'm going to laugh at that. I need you going 7 or more. Gibson's kind of setting that standard that I know you lived by.
Well, you pitch into the rotation with Randy Johnson, and there's a very different bar. A quality start was a loss. A quality start is absolutely a loss in October. I think it's something on the neighborhood of 65% of quality starts in the regular season result in wins, and about 30% in October do.
Well, he's got to get there, and he does to the bag.
And that's what it is. It's about pitching exceptional. It's about pitching perfect. And, I think with Ian and Daniel at the top of this rotation, 2 power guys, they're potentially positioned nicely. I mean, you're going to have to go through Philadelphia, I think, no matter what, to get to October. But, you start looking at some of those lineups in the American League, and it can be somewhat daunting. Because you look, I was thinking about this last night about pitching. If I'm going to face Arizona in the postseason, I'm going to let Justin walk down to first base, and I'm going to make the rest of that lineup beat me.
Miguel Montero beat you.
Yeah, and so those guys are going to have to step up, because the Holidays of the world, the Cliff Lees of the world, they're not going to let Justin Upton beat them. And it's going to be on him to not get out of his game offensively and not get out of the strike zone and be patient, and he's just going to have to hit the few pitches he gets to swing at.
Let's talk about some pitchers for the Arizona Diamondbacks. What's your take on Ian Kennedy this year? Has he surprised you? He has me.
Not surprising. Anytime you see, he's taken the next step. He's done what you have to do to go from being a potential good pitcher to realizing that potential. He's going to realize very quickly. It's one of the things that Randy always talked about. 1 year is awesome. It's great. I want to see you do it for 6, 7, 800 consecutive innings. And they're at 202, 203 innings. They're going to finish the season at 220-ish. And when you look back on statistics to me that matter, I want 235 innings out of my number one. That's because innings are to me the ultimate stat for a starting pitcher. If I throw those innings, all the other numbers take care of themselves. And and that was the thing. In 2001, I think I threw 308 innings, and that was the stat that I. But
you should be proud of that.
But that was Randy pushing me. I mean, Randy was out there, and if Randy went 6 and gave up 3, people were like, "Hey, are you hurt?" It's just a different bar, and I'd like to see those two guys hopefully competing against each other in a real healthy way, and because they're gonna ride those two guys as far as they go.
And I'm going to continue on that. I remember in 2002 we went to Boston, and you beat Pedro Martinez. Pedro was 6-0 going into that game, and you beat Pedro, I believe, 2-1 or 3-2, whatever it was. But anyway, Pedro goes 7 innings. He gives up 2 runs. And after the game, all the Boston media was coming up to me, asked, "What's wrong with Pedro?"
Yeah,
7 innings, 2 runs. Was his velocity down? Does he look hurt to you? But that's the kind of bar we're talking about.
And that's what Randy dealt with his entire career. And in a sense, it's somewhat, you can call it fair or unfair, but the bottom line is he's the greatest left-handed power pitcher of all time. And so he wasn't allowed to have success and failure like everybody else. And like I said, I rode that. I absolutely fed off of it. And I always wanted to outpitch him because I wanted him to pitch something exceptional, and I wanted to do better. And I think we had some of that through the staff, B.A. and Miguel Batista and those guys. I think they felt a push to keep themselves competitive because we were in it all year.
Also, another guy I want to ask you about on the Diamondbacks is the closer, J.J. Putz. Reminds me a lot of you, Schill, except obviously not a starter, but a hard thrower with a split and just an occasional something spinning, but lots of strikeouts, relatively no walks. Do you see at all yourself in JJ?
It's a challenge in the sense that his body of work is generally about 10 minutes long. Right. So it's much more on him to have fastball command than it would. I'd go out in the first inning. I want my fastball command. I want to feel the corners, and I want to know what the umpire's doing and where I can manipulate my strike zone with him. He's over and done in a hitter or two, so he doesn't have the ability to go out there and
belted deep right center field. Run down out there. That'll drive in a run. Continue your thought.
No, I was going to say he doesn't have the ability to get a feel. He's got to go out. He's got to not just he doesn't have to have command. He has to have control within the strike zone from pitch 1 And some of his outings can be 7 pitches long, and the game can turn on him. And so I was never, ever good at that job. I tried it a couple times, and it was too much of a challenge for me. And you have to have a great mindset. You have to have no memory. And I think these days you have to be a very power pitching guy. But you can't do it with 3 pitches. You really can't, because you're not going to get enough. You're not going to get enough at bats and enough pitches in an inning to work 3 pitches in.
No, we don't have enough minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Man, that's great.
Thanks. Good to see you, Gracie.
Hopefully a baseball Hall of Famer. That man should be a Hall of Famer. Looking forward to his opportunity. Kurt Schilling.